Now you might think this next thing that I'm going to do is insane, and maybe it is, but this is the lengths that, some people who use After Effects, they'll go to these great lengths to try to create illusions which, are basically so good that you don't question what you're seeing isn't real. You'll notice that there's a bit of glare on the edge of this monitor, which of course is being created naturally by a light. So somewhere off this side of the camera, behind the camera, is some kind of softbox, which is, causing some light to fall into this area, of course, because we need light for good exposure to get a good image. And of course, that light is also falling on the edge of that monitor, not so much on this edge because the monitor is angled away. And of course, if that were real, then this element that's on this monitor would also have a bit of glare on it. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to try to recreate glare that would be there. And it's kind of cool. First off, we're going to deselect any active layers. And just like when we were doing some of the other effects that we played with in some of the other lessons, we're going to go layer, new. We're going to start with a new layer, a special kind of layer, a solid layer. And we're going to give it a name. We'll call it reflection because in essence, that's what it's going to be. And we're going to click the make comp size button so that's exactly the same size as the composition. And of course, the color is, we're going to change it now. And again, the reflection, we're going to change all the RGB settings to 255, which in essence creates white. And what we'll do now is we'll click OK, and you're going to go, oh my God, everything just went white. Well, of course it did. You just created a new layer called reflection. It's the same dimensions as composition, and it's white. And I mean, if you turn off the eyeball, you can see everything else is still there. Now, of course, what we need to do is we need to, again, we need to create a mask, a matte, an alpha channel to, basically keep what we want and throw away what we don't want. Well, since we've already got a mask in here, right? Office Mask Movie, we've already got a mask in there. What we're going to do is we're going to select that layer and hit M so we can see that mask property. And what we're going to do now is we're going to click on the word mask path. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically copy that. So, longhand, we're going to go edit, copy. So we'll copy that mask path. And then we're going to click on the reflection layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to go edit and we're going to go paste. And what that'll do now is it'll basically, copy and paste that mask. So now you can see how that mask is kind of sitting on that monitor. But of course it's like totally like 100% opaque, which is, creating that problem that we're seeing. And we really don't want to see that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play around with this new mask to change the way that that works. So the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the Office Mask layer, and we're going to hit U to hide those properties so we don't, mistakenly change those. And we're going to go to the reflection layer, and now we're going to hit the F key to reveal the mask feather. And what we'll do now is we'll kind of feather the edges of that to get that to work. And again, what we're doing here is we're playing around with all these properties to create this effect. So what we'll do now is we'll basically kind of take those edges and we'll feather them, okay, which will now, turn them into a big giant blur. And that's starting to get to the point where we need it. But we also need to kind of, again, modify the shape of it as well. And so there's other tools that are available that you have. And actually, if you go up to the convert vertex tool and hold it down, you'll see there's this mask feather tool, and you can see these feather points. So what you can do now is you can go in here and you can start basically kind of creating feathering points. And you can see how I'm actually feathering that and tightening that reflection up a little bit, which is basically kind of what I wanted to do. And again, that's kind of modifying where that's sitting. And again, this is where you can kind of start playing around with how those things are looking. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that reflection. I'm going to hit T, and I'm going to reduce the opacity so it's not quite so harsh. Okay, so it's just kind of a little bit of glare on there, and it's basically kind of doing what I want it to do, and it's giving me that initial kind of look as to how I want it to look, which is, again, it's just creating a slight glare. Maybe I'll reduce it a little bit more, maybe not too much. Again, if I take it all the way down, it's not having any effect. And I'll just pop it up, I don't know, maybe 25%, at best 24%. So there's still a bit of glare in there. And, that kind of, creating that illusion. And that's really all it is an illusion. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hide that property on there. And then the last thing I want to do now is I want to take a look at blending modes. So I'm going to go and expand the blending mode. So what I want to do here is click on this transfer control pane. And what I want to do is, you can see there's more options here. And right now for reflection, the blend mode is normal. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change that from normal, and I'm going to change that to add. So I'm going to change that blending mode. And what that's going to do now, it's going to slightly pick up some of the colors from the other layers that are underneath it to further kind of blend that, so it takes on more of a bluish and less of a pure white hue, which is, again, what I'm trying to do as far as, creating some realism in there. All right, file, save as, version number. I'm up to number 6, I should say. And that way, if, I screw anything up, I can always go back to where I left off.